Story 1. At 40, I would say how complicated social considerations are in regards to juggling what you want to say and do versus how others will perceive that. Additionally, Facebook advertisements in videos are quite annoying as well. For some reason, I have no issues with YouTube, but Facebook mid-video advertisements are like crunchy frogs dipped in lark's vomit. Story 2. I use the restroom frequently, around 7 to 12 times a day. I have visited a doctor and hospitals, but they cannot determine what is wrong, so I suppose it is just a part of my life. Story 3. Slow internet when I am trying to do something important. Everything else in life moves fast, but the moment I actually need a page to load, it is like my Wi-Fi decides to take a break. Story 4. Drivers who do not use turn signals. It is not that hard to flick a lever, but somehow people act like signaling is optional. I am not a mind reader. I would love to know if you were about to cut me off. Story 5. Noise. I used to live alone and then I made the terrible decision to allow my friend to move in. All she does is talk. To me, to the dog, to the cat, to her phone, to her bank account. She talks nonstop. And I am not a morning person at all. I'm actually just plain grumpy in the morning, not to mention very sensitive to noise. And guess what? It's like she can sense that my eyes have opened and she starts to talk. Story 6. That feeling when you finish all your routines, for example, gym and steps, and have to wake up as the clock resets and have to do it again. Story 7. People shorten words like pajamas to pajamas, deodorant to deodorant, and orange juice to orange juice. Also, I do not like when people use the wrong verb conjugation for comedic effect, I have an idea, etc. Or when people make words plural for no reason besides comedy. I want to try the food. I love these dogs, etc. Story 8. My bad memory causes me to constantly forget things within seconds of being told, or I forget what I am doing in the moment. It's like my short-term memory just deletes things, sometimes even when I am thinking about them. Story 9. People who block the grocery aisle as if they are the only ones shopping drive me crazy. Just grab your item and move. I did not come here to watch someone stare at a shelf for 5 minutes. Story 10. College students who have never worked a day with anyone else in their lifetime and have always gotten what they want. So when they face adversity, such as a person who disagrees with them on roommate issues but is willing to find a middle ground, they resort to name-calling and insults. I am also a college student, by the way, but I have roommate issues. Story 11. Not being able to have packages delivered to my address, having to be hyper-vigilant in locking vehicle doors, locking house doors, and not leaving things outside or unattended because of thieves and porch pirates. Story 12. I work as an executive. Many people complain about how they cannot get promoted, how they have been working the same job for 10 years and they are good at that job. What else are you doing to learn new skills that make you valuable in a different role? Also, if you are as upset about the current political climate as I am, stop spending money. The reason these companies are successful and causing harm is because you are purchasing their products. If you want the ruling class to panic, stop making purchases. Story 13. People. It is often other people or something they are doing that might be causing the inconvenience in your life. Story 14. Eating is such a chore. It requires significant amounts of money and is a basic necessity for maintaining a healthy life. Not to mention if fate has dealt you a hand that includes gluten, dairy, or any other intolerance toward specific foods, you will find yourself needing to buy more expensive options. Story 15. Being tired in the morning and not sleeping early to combat the tiredness for the next morning. Round and round we go. Story 16. Anything and everything. I throw all morals out the window and turn blind to being the bigger person. I will actively be a menace and tap into classic Call of Duty lobby dialogue any chance I get with them. This is what also got me kicked out of my girlfriend's parents' house. Yes, Amy, you're still difficult, and I'm glad your dog died. Your husband's prostate cancer couldn't make me any happier either. Now imagine what I really said. Story 17. Working from home, people, colleagues, are text messaging instead of calling, so we can see each other. It is much easier to misunderstand messages. They have no emotion. Story 18. People who stand in the subway doors. Like seriously, just move over to the aisle until your station is next. I promise you will have time to get off. Also, people who try to get into the subway or elevator before everyone has gotten out. Again, I promise you will have time to get in. Story 19. People who try to be nice and do not obey traffic rules. Seriously, if it is your right of way at a stop, please just go. Do not wave me to go instead. Causes confusion. Story 20. People who drive 15 miles per hour under the speed limit in the right lane at least a quarter of a mile before their off-ramp, which is also everybody else's off-ramp, create a frustrating motorcade effect that you have to figure out how to interact with. Story 21. I consistently wash every other day, and every time I do it, I force myself because I do not like spending so much time there. Story 22. The knowledge of how many evil and foolish people surround me annoys me greatly every day. The decline of decency is truly disappointing. Story 23. My drive to work is 6 miles from my office, and it can take 40 minutes at its worst, especially at 7 a.m. It's quite challenging. I do cycle when it is warmer, though, which is much quicker. Story 24. The whole concept of keeping myself healthy is challenging. Should I ignore this side pain, go to the doctor, or rush to the emergency room? I can make a doctor's appointment, but now it's only available during work hours. Can I wait 2 weeks for a reasonable appointment? Will the pain still be there in 2 weeks? Should I skip work and go at 8 a.m. to see my doctor right away? It is the most annoying part of adulthood. Story 25. Young people who can't make change when the register breaks down, or just don't know how without a calculator. Story 26. Waking up to someone banging metal pipes and drilling because one of the neighbors thinks it is fine to start a home improvement project at 5 a.m. Story 27. How prevalent social media is in people my age finding and maintaining friendships. I'm just not interested in using or keeping up with it. Story 28. People give them simple instructions and watch them completely ignore what I said in real time. Every single day, I constantly repeat myself. Story 29. Constant availability via social media and smartphones is now socially acceptable, allowing for 24/7 access to someone to chat, text, or call at any hour. Additionally, if you attempt to opt out, it is largely considered unusual or unsociable. Story 30. Spam and scammers are making phones and email almost useless. We need new standards, such as perhaps electronic stamps, as money is easier to trace than alternatives. Story 31. Cleaning up. Like, Jesus Christ, I just did this. Like, who keeps going around my house wearing my clothes and putting them on the floor? This person also spends all my money and keeps making me gain weight. So annoying. Story 32. People are speeding down the residential street I live on. I jokingly tried to get my spouse to stand at the end of the driveway, pointing a hairdryer at the speeders, pretending to check their speed. She's not going for it. Story 33. People with their faces buried in their phones in public have no regard for others when walking down the street or up and down stairs. It is very irritating. Story 34. Getting an itch of any kind in a certain area of my back can be quite bothersome. I have become much less flexible as I have aged. When you cannot reach an itch, it only gets worse and worse. Story 35. People who think they can be themselves around me because I am a white guy like them. No, I am not a racist. I am not a supporter of the Make America Great Again movement, and I support women's rights. Story 36. Existing. I want to not have to worry about all the boring stuff and just do what's fun, but I am burdened to exist on Earth and have to handle bills and other responsibilities. Story 37. The receptionist who has to wander around every morning, saying, "Happy Monday, Happy Tuesday," and so on for the 6.5 years I have been here. Story 38. When I wake up every day and realize I have to figure out how to pay for anything in life. Our car is no longer working. The truck stopped functioning this winter. We cannot afford to repair anything. I need a new vehicle and I am overwhelmed financially. Story 39. The tunnel vision people who park their shopping cart in the middle of the aisle at the market, as if there are no other shoppers. Story 40. Cyclists when I am driving, cars when I am on my bicycle, and every single vehicle when I am walking around. Story 41. Not being able to maintain employment due to family life, post-traumatic stress disorder, financial issues, and stability is challenging. I truly want money to save up to fix the house, take care of my parents in their elderly age, and ensure my nephew is taken care of. However, nothing I have done in the past 9 years has worked out. There are so many other things to consider, but that's life. Story 42. Websites that use CAPTCHA that really do not need to. Like, who is maliciously downloading public documents? Story 43. People who constantly complain about how slow their 15-year-old computer is and how unreliable technology is when they shut down their computer in the middle of a software update and damage the software because they thought someone was hacking their computer, while saying how much easier it is to do things with pen and paper, are definitely being addressed here. Story 44. Endless responsibilities. Having to work to pay my bills. Bills. Release me from these adult responsibilities. Story 45. Needing to clean things that do not really need to be cleaned, like a spill of water or shaving daily to look good, is more of a personal problem. Story 46. Liars invading my privacy. People obsessed with my body, which is weird. I mean, it does this turtle thing, but it performs well with the best of them. If they want some, all they have to do is ask. I'm a giver and I go all in on your love. Story 47. Traffic lights triggered by one reckless driver, resulting in the stopping of 30 cars to let that one driver go. Also, why don't people follow the speed limit? Story 48. Having to pee so much is frustrating. Apparently, urinating frequently throughout the day is healthy and indicates proper hydration, but I feel so thirsty throughout the day because I am constantly releasing fluid. If I am hydrating my body, I want that fluid to stay in my system instead of constantly needing to come back out. It really makes me upset. Story 49. When you tear off a piece of paper towel or toilet paper, and instead of tearing along the cut line, it actually takes part of the next piece too. Story 50. When I hear the misuse of collective nouns, it frustrates me. I am looking for feedback or advice on just no. Arc. Story 51. I have no idea how I hurt my leg, but the pain is so intense that it makes sitting or standing for long periods of time annoying. Story 52. Cleaning up after my toddlers after every single meal or snack can be overwhelming. There are so many crumbs and so much mess. It is very time-consuming. Story 53. Whenever I'm late, my shirt gets stuck on things, or I get stuck behind a school bus, or I hit every red light. Story 54. My boyfriend has to get up for work at 5:30 a.m. He is a heavy sleeper and will immediately fall back asleep the second he turns his alarm off, sometimes even sleeping through it, so I have to turn it off. To help him out, I get up before him to get his work clothes ready and kiss all over his face to help wake him up. Once he heads off to work around 6 a.m., I usually try to get some more sleep. We always end up going to bed at 10 or 11, but I do not actually fall asleep until 12 or 1. Unfortunately, by that point, I have been awake for too long, and it takes me 2 hours of tossing and turning before I can fall back asleep. I will fall asleep around 8 or 9 a.m. and wake up at 11 in a panic thinking it is 3, and I have no time to do chores and everything else I want to do that day before my boyfriend gets home from work. I generally feel groggy and ache all day. I wish I could just immediately fall asleep like he can. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.